Okay, we are live.
All right. Thank you, David. And thank you to all who are joining. I'd like to welcome you all to this meetup session that's being held by one of our community members that used to go by LAC chain, but they are now called LNET, which they can explain to you. They've been a part of our community for some time now. We have been working with the IDB Lab and LAC chain team for many years since they built the LAC chain network on top of our Besu DLT. We have a case study on that, so I'll share the link for that for anyone who's curious. But this is really exciting what they're launching today, called CBWeb3, an initiative to really bring about more openness, more open source use of open source technologies in the finance space for a lot of the use cases that we are seeing out there being explored, such as tokenizing digital assets, central bank digital currencies. Many of those technologies are already built on either Besu or Fabric or other open source technologies, but not many are built in the open. And so this is an exciting initiative to encourage more of that. So I'll hand it off now to the LNET team. We have Ilan Melendez and Carolina Velasquez here who will present to you and are here to answer your questions and tell you how to get involved.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everyone, for attending this call today. We're very excited to present this project to the whole community and invite you to be part of it. Let me give you a little bit of background of this project and the organizations that are behind this initiative. And first of all, this initiative has been approved by the Inter-American Development Bank, specifically the Laboratory of Innovation, and is also co-led by SEMLA, which is the Center of Economic Studies for Latin America, and FLAR, which is basically the Fund for Latin America, the Fund of Reserves for Latin America, and LNET, an entity that, as Karen mentioned before, it's an entity that pretty much governs a blockchain ecosystem and a network that is mainly focused on production and compliance use cases of blockchain in Latin America and the Caribbean, but it's also available worldwide. So we would like to invite you to also learn a little bit more about these organizations so you can be more familiar of the impact of these initiatives that we're presenting today. The agenda that we're going to discuss today, we're going to provide a quick introduction about CBWeb3 as project. And we are going to explain a little bit of why this is important for Latin America and the Caribbean, and why this is important for the Linux Foundation community, and why it's important also for all of you to be part of this initiative. We're going to also discuss about the architecture, and some models that we are working related with privacy and security, governance of the model governance in the community, and finally, how to join to this initiative. All right. Let me start giving you a little bit of context. This initiative is 24 months old. However, sorry, it's a 24 months long project. We already have completed like 10 months of the project. It started this year, and we have been like coordinating with all the multiple actors to be part of this initiative. And the process that we have been taking is like, first we identifying who were or who are going to be the co-leaders of this initiative. As mentioned before, SEMLA, FLAR, and IDB, and LACNET. And then we started invited different sectors or different institutions from the financial sector in Latin America and the Caribbean, especially central banks. Why? This project is mainly focused on creating knowledge transfer about asset tokenization, including tokenized central bank digital money. And basically what we are looking for here is to create a set of proof of concepts that will help us to create that knowledge. The expectation is that through the execution of these proof of concepts, organizations, especially the central banks, may have the opportunity to explore, to assess, and to make their own conclusions about their strategy and how this might fit their strategy in terms of digital transformation. This is a project that is focused on Latin America and the Caribbean only, because our beneficiaries of the IDB Lab. There is another component which is also very interesting. It's that as part of the proof of concepts, we are also inviting some commercial banks to participate in this initiative. These commercial banks are going to participate mostly as in some of the components of the proof of concept that are required because are required the participation of a commercial bank. Why? Because at some point it's important for us that that we can have a full cycle completed, so we can create all the knowledge and have all the expertise and the experience share to build this knowledge to share with the rest of the region, and not only the region, all some other parts of the world too. In this session, I think I forgot to introduce myself. Ilan Melendez. I'm the leader of ecosystem building, and Carolina Velasquez is also the architect of this initiative. So Carolina and I are going to be helping you in the next steps of this initiative in case that you want to join. As part of this initiative, one of those strategies that we're doing is that we are promoting the creation of a digital public good, which is going to be part of the laboratory within Linux Foundation, in this case, the Decentralized Trust. And the expectation is that using this digital public good or building this digital public good will help to accelerate the adoption of more experimentation or even go to production use cases. That will depend on the appetite of the different actors, especially central banks, according with their strategy, right? So the objectives that we are planning to achieve with this project, the first one is to create a tech stack that will help us to basically allow the different organizations not only to test, but scale up. Basically, if we are able to test some proof of concepts, the central banks might be in the position to explore how much or what else they can do, or building a foundation that they can start building on top of it. This is like the digital public good that we are referring to. All right. On the other hand, we are going to be building an ecosystem for this. It's a set of different organizations that will have the knowledge, the experience to develop or to elaborate more on this digital public good that we previously created. So they can be in a position to provide support, to provide consulting services, or even develop further the different components that we have been creating in this exercise. So the vision is that we're going to have a digital public good, the blueprint of this digital public good, that any regulator can basically adopt as part of the strategy, all right? And use the assets, the components that we're going to be building, technology assets, I mean, to scale up on this, right? And the expectation is that all this, or why these organizations, STEMLab, FLAR, LNET, IDB are part of it, is because we are seeing a common factor in the financial inclusion through these kind of mechanisms. In this case, we're going to be focusing on wholesale CBDCs, which is basically only on the layer that are mostly at the level of central banks and some commercial banks. So this is not including retail exercises. We have two use cases that we are looking to explore. This has been already validated by the central banks. We're going to explore a little bit more, but basically we have created two working groups. The first one is a working group exclusive for central banks because they can have an environment, a shared environment of trust, where they can provide the vision of what is relevant for them to test. So in this scenario, this kind of like insights that we can get from the different central banks becomes functional requirements and becomes basically expectations about how the different products to work. And the use cases are basically one example of this. They have been already validated. We have a domestic use case and an international use case. In the domestic case scenario, we are considering the asset tokenization of a financial instrument, and also the tokenization of central bank money in a way that basically we can provide liquidity and transfer of those kind of assets. Is the scenario that we used to call it the PVP. And there's another one, which is payment versus payment, PVP, in which basically we are setting two different currencies, two different tokenized central banks money, and execute that forex transaction. Again, how this is going to work is basically given by the central bank working group, which basically define what is the strategy they are feeling more comfortable and what are their requirements. Additionally, there is an interoperability component because we understand, we know that there are some other central banks that they are working with their own network, for example, or or they are exploring another alternative, and that is going to become most probably a reality in the future, which in central banks will have different tech stacks. And in this scenario, that we are going to test interoperability into one red or one network that has been chosen by one of the central banks, and interoperate with that network that we are going to deploy for this exercise. So it's kind of like another test of how this integrates, right? So why this exists? Well, I mentioned something about financial inclusion. I mentioned something about creating knowledge. Basically, the expectation here is that the feedback that we have received, that we have been receiving from different central banks is that they are very aware of what is happening in other regions of the world, but they also need to test. And we are basically creating an opportunity so the different central banks can actually test. Right now, we have more than 10 central banks in Latin America and the Caribbean participating in this initiative. And the expectation is that this feedback that we can get from them is going to become a strong requirements that can help other organizations to assess and build their own solutions. Even though we're considering a digital public good, which is going to be open source and following all the standards of the Linux Foundation, we also recognize the relevance of different actors to also deploy their own services. And I think this is a great opportunity for this. So even though we are looking for a common share good, the expectation is that there might be opportunity to build solutions on top of this, or somehow to complement what we are building, and practically foster a collaboration between all the participants of this call and all some other participants that might be joining this initiative. How? Well, first, sharing knowledge, technical expertise, and collective development, basically. So we already have some partners of ecosystem that we belongs in which they are looking for alternatives to participate in this initiative, and we would like to welcome all of you to join us. As part of the efforts that has been done in terms of CBDCs or in the previous initiative of tokenized money, we have been seeing that there are a lot of regions of the world exploring this concept, and that's why we consider this is an important relevance. And I would like to pass the word now to my coworker, Carolina. So, Carolina, maybe you can continue with the next.
Thank you, Ilan. Hi, everyone. My name is Carolina, and I'm the blockchain solution architect here in this project. So, okay, from this point, as Ilan mentioned, it is the actual map that we can see in the world for the status of the different projects regarding tokenized central bank monies. And from that, we decide to investigate and to see 25 global projects. And from that project, we select whether due to the architecture or the liquidity management or how they manage the transactions, and if it is relevant for the region as Drex or Colombia, we decided to start with that project. So we are working in see how they can help us in our solution. And from that, we started with the architecture. So, our architecture, we are going to use mix between a single ledger and hub and spoke model. A single ledger is basically a single network where the participants or the countries that don't have a blockchain or a process or a system where actually they manage these tokenized assets, these tokenized central bank money. We are going to provide that system, but we are keeping or we are having in mind all of that countries, as for example, Brazil and Colombia, that already have some advance in that technology. So with that approach, we are going to have all the systems connected. Is that the idea? And as maybe you all know, or our basis is LNET, that is the network that we have been using for years. It is based in Besu, and this network basically is the foundational for all the system that we are going to build on top of that. And what is a system? As Ilan mentioned, it is a digital public good. So that means that we are going to follow all the rules or points that the DPG Alliance propose for that kind of projects. And okay, and what is our architecture? It has several components, different components. The first one is the presentation layer. The idea is to have a front end that could be maybe a web application to grant all users to interact with that. The idea is to be a very, very user-friendly with all the user that doesn't know what is blockchain or what is a wallet or what is a tokenized central bank money. After that, we have the access and identity management layer, where we are going to have wallets, again, following the idea to be user-friendly. We are going to have custody wallets. Obviously, we are open, and if not in this phase, in the next phase, to have another kind of wallets to be more decentralized. And a component that is for AM, and that component is to it can connect with the legacy legacy system. Sorry. The next layer is the business logic application layer. Really, we have here the backend. We are going to have APIs and all the contracts that manage the logic around our system. Then we have the persistence, where we are going to have all the data allocated. If you see in the legend, we have that we have different kind of components. One are in and another ones are in white. The idea is that the components that belong to the DPG are the components that are in green, and all of the rest components, the components that are in white, are the components that are open to connect with whatever solution or existing technology. Between our architecture proposal, we are going to be all in a modular. So if some company already have some database, can connect that instead of use the component that we propose in our DPG. And we have the blockchain network layer with privacy tools. We have an experienced team in charge of all the research regarding the privacy. We have all the rest of consensus and the smart contracts that belong to the governance of the network and that are transversal to all the participants, and to be aligned with that idea to be compatible and work with another networks or systems. We're going to have that interoperability layer, and where we will have our cross-chain protocol or oracles to integrate with that. So again, the idea is to only the things that are in green are the components that belong only for the DPG. And obviously, we're going to build another components that are in white, but that components can be changed for another existing solutions. And in privacy and security, we are exploring some technologies. There are one of the technologies that we are exploring. Again, we have a team that is specified only to work around the privacy, and with the time, they are working in find the best solutions that fit for our project. And from the beginning, we are thinking in design by security. So, and with the purpose of have a digital public good, our project is licensed under Apache 2.0. So the idea is that it is open for all the people, open to audits, open to reviews, open to regulators, and this, and the idea is that bring a tool for the community and the region. And some important point here is how it's the governance of the project. We have 2 working groups. one working group is a central bank working group that it is not open. It is only for central banks. So in this a working group, we meet with banks and discuss all the features and the and prayer and specific points of architecture and prioritize that features. And from that, we pass to that this DPG working group was from this meetup. We are going to start this or continue this. This, as his name said, it is our digital public working group. That means that it is open for the community. And I want to show here our repository because I invite all the people to join here and share his GitHub users to belong to this group, to this to be able to participate in this repository. So here we have a lot of different documents. The most important is the README, where you can find some of the information that we are talking about here. And we have the code of conduct. We have the way how you can contribute with the project, and obviously the license. And here in Docs, you can see some part of our research regarding.
Carolina, sorry to interrupt. I think you're not showing your screen. You're just presenting your
No?
PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, give me a second. Thank you, Nadam. Again, can you see my screen in the report?
Yeah,
Now
now
we can. Yep.
now we can.
Okay, so I was talking. I don't know if you see the report from the beginning. No, only the first page or what?
No, I think you better start from the beginning.
Okay. Again, so it is the repo, it is the repository. And here you can find all the things that we have been talking about regarding the CBWeb3 project. It is a dynamic repository, so that means that we are still building that. We have been uploading different documents. That I will show in the beginning was the README, that is the most important. After that, the code of conduct, how to contribute. I mean, this is a way that that you can contribute to us. Here you can see that we are using a tool called BotBot. But you need to join the repo to contribute here. And we have what is the Apache the license that we use, and that we have a folder here where you can find the different papers that where we started. So it is basically an analysis that we made from projects that I mentioned, that 25 projects, and how that match with our focus, with our objectives. And you can, as you see, we have one for governance, another for interoperability, and another for privacy. From that, where we have, we take the solution, we take the approach to have hub and spoke model mixed with a single ledger and all the things that we are working on in this moment. And it is an analysis regarding exactly from what is a DPG, where we are, where the CBWeb3 project, and again from as it is a dynamical project, a dynamical repository, we are changing continually this information to explain in what part of this digital public good we are. So I am going to stop the sharing my screen and share again to avoid. Okay. Can you see my screen again with the presentation?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. So again, with that, explained, it is our path or it is our iterations that we are having for the development or of each decision that we are having in this project. And what is the idea? Is to have the community involved here. Obviously, the central banks, we are working with central banks. We want to have the academia involved in this. We are working with some academia too to have research regarding that. And as Ilan mentioned, we are working very close with Flara and Semla, and they are very, very involved in all the process, and they are in all the meetings that we have in the two different working groups. And from that, it is our call to action, and I am going to pass again the word to Ilan.
Thank you very much, Carolina, for all these insights and information. I would like to invite everybody to open your mics and also put your questions in the chat window. We would like to invite you to scan this QR code so you can actually go directly to the GitHub repository and join us. We are going to be hosting a weekly session every Thursday. You are going to find in the GitHub the calendar of these sessions. The next session is going to be on October the 30th, and we would like to invite you to be part of it. All right. One thing that we are going to be focusing is component related with privacy, component related with interoperability, and there are some more. So there is a list in the GitHub, a list of issues that you can explore. You can see if there is an opportunity that you would like to build with us this digital public good, right? Happy to take some of the questions on the chat. So please, Carol, maybe we can try to answer together. The first one is, how does ECBM differ from BIS Agora project, or is it part of Agora? It's not part of Agora project. It's CBWeb. I think you're referring to CBWeb3. I'm not familiar with ECBM. And yeah, how is the first from Agora? Carol, I'm not sure if you have context, or Nayan, if you have more context that you would like to.
Maybe I can take this one. Thank you, Vlad. Hi, everyone. Neil Hanashiro. I'm the overall coordinator of this initiative. Happy to be in the session and really see the first public session about CBWeb3. But addressing Vlad's question, is not part of Agora. We always don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but it's not part of Agora. How is different from Agora is we are, number one, we are open sourcing the whole code we are going to deploy here, okay? And the second one, we are still discussing the design choices or the design we are going to adopt. And I can tell you, Vlad, the Agora is going to be to a corresponding banking model. So enhancing the current corresponding banking model, connecting, of course, commercial banks and central banks, but they're going down that path. We are still having internal discussions, and now we are going to open these discussions to the whole community about what would be the most interesting in several dimensions for the project or the design architecture that we're going to develop. Okay, hope this answers your first question. The second one is, how will the interoperability technology differ from TCP IP? part of our plan, we're still all again discussing what pieces or components are going to test for interoperability, but we are tending to explore, number one, open source components, and then number two, we are open to the whole community to propose and maybe conduct this initiative on the interoperability side as well. But bear with us. We're going to continue this conversation in the next in the following sessions about this, okay? But there's no difference. We are going to leverage the best in class what we have in the market. We are not aiming to develop a new interoperability component for the CBWeb3 project, okay?
Thank you, guys.
One,
The next one, sorry, Caro.
Nadia, maybe want to answer another question.
The tax tone, I read banks are invited to participate, and now what about fintechs? Neobanks, can they participate too? More than welcome. I think this session kind of kicks off this idea of inviting you all, meaning technology service providers, fintechs, ISVs, so on and so forth. So yeah, the idea is join forces, participate in the discussion. We also, with the idea that establishing an ecosystem is really identifying solutions, use cases that ultimately would be running on top of this DPI, DPG. Okay, so yeah, the answer is yes, Taxon.
Awesome. Thank you, Nayan. Thank you, Carolina. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Feel free to open your mic or put your questions in the chat window. If not, thank you all very much. We would like to invite you once again to scan the QR code or to go directly to the link. We also have included the link in the chat window, so feel free to jump in and join us in this initiative. We will be starting these sessions on October the 30th. So it's in 2 weeks from now. Thank you all very much. And Karen, I'll pass the word to you.
Thank you, Ilan, Carolina, and Nayam, for this explanation of CBWeb3. I think it can't be understated how exciting this is, because there has been no effort on central bank digital currency that has been completely open source and done in the open like this. So you're really charting a new path, which is really exciting. We hope that the community will get involved. Please check out the links that we shared in the chat, and this will be available. Recording will be available for you to share with colleagues or anyone in your network that you think may also be interested in getting involved. Please spread the word, because the more people that participate, the more we'll get really strong input into what kind of architecture, what kind of model would be good for this initiative. So thank you all for attending and taking the time out of your day to be here, and we look forward to seeing you at next week's meeting or any future meeting.
Karen, just before we drop, there's I think the last question from Batch, the saying if the current network is private or public, and could anyone participate by running one of the validator's nodes? This is going to be exclusive on the network for this exercise, since we are going to be working in POCs, so no need for do it very like a public. However, we would like to invite you to learn a little bit more about LNET and join the LNET network, which is going to allow you to connect to a public permission and network based on BESU, right? Thank you, everyone. And
thank you.
Thank
you again, Karen,
have a wonderful
David, and stay connected. Bye-bye.
Thanks for getting that last question in there.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.